Welcome to the mind of LANCESCURV, the most creatively profound man in cyberspace.
Backed by popular demand, everyone said that they did not want to see all of those premieres of the old shows, so I'll continue to upload them to this new channel. So the only lives that you'll see are lives. And as you come on in, you'll see that to be the truth. Well, I'm a man of my word that way. Well, today we're going to have a topic that we needed to cover for the longest time, even though we actually covered it, because each particular topic is not an island unto its own. There's always overlap. Every single topic kind of goes and veers over the double yellow line. But this particular one is the hidden facade, how toxic people conceal their chaos. Everybody's not extremely toxic, but if you were born into this imperfect world, trust me, you're touched. Even just a little bit. I'm not saying you're psycho, but you are affected. I will also say, like I say before, that most of us have come up in dysfunctional families, more or less. But we all have our hang-ups. We all have our idiosyncrasies. We all have the things that other people will say, hey, that person may have some issues. And when we are raised in a mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally sound family, consider yourself blessed. And even then, the situations with your in-laws, with your family members, outside, your aunts, your cousins, your neighborhood, your school, your church, whatever religion you're in, it still is going to leave an imprint on your psyche. It's still going to leave an imprint on the way you see certain situations. So we're all unique. It doesn't mean we're toxic. It just means that you're not perfect. But those of us who are extremely toxic, we got a situation that we have to deal with. And we need to deal with those situations before we join on to the lives of others. When you have a person who has chaos in their life, whether it's outward or internal, the bottom line is that's your homework. That's what you have to deal with. That's what you must clean up before you have someone enter into your world and you enter into their world. This is the way I see it in an abstract way. When you meet someone new, if they have a little bit of house cleaning to do on the inside as a person, because we all can come up in bad situations and not be bad ourselves or touched ourselves. Again, that all depends on the mind, the mentality of that individual. This is why you have certain families where the situation growing up was really bad. And you have some family members of children, both male and female, that will reflect that in the trauma that they had to endure. And you'll always have that other child coming up, whether it be male or female, it doesn't matter what the sex is, that doesn't seem to be affected by it. Now, they may be, but in a different way. And they may have the wherewithal in the Constitution to deal with that situation even better. So we really can't say. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing for everybody. Melisha here, how are you? I'm glad to see you here. If for any reason I blank out, they have a rainstorm going up here for the longest time up here in the mountains here in West Africa, in Ghana. So if there's any interference, those of you who are here already, just say, hey, Lance is coming back on his phone. Just give him a few more moments. But like I said, there's just no way of knowing it. So in my own abstract way as an artist, I would always say to myself, I say, if there's a person with a lot of chaos coming into your life, imagine them at your front door. Okay, they may look nice, they may be intelligent, they may be educated, they may not seem to be a mass murderer, no. But then sometimes you meet people who are so psycho, you'd rather them even be that. You can spot it a lot easier. But the bottom line is, how do you see it? If you can see the chaos that they have, I imagine it as being garbage bags that they carry around with them 24/7 that you can't see, and they don't tell you that they have these garbage bags behind them. Some may have 2 garbage bags, right? Now, the world doesn't see it and you don't see it. But after a while, you begin to see it when you deal with them and they drop their guard, because everybody wants to put their self in the best light, put their best foot forward. So some have 2 garbage bags of toxicity and chaos and cleaning that they need to do from the inside. Some have 10, some have garbage bags all the way down the block and around the corner, but you can't see it because oftentimes we're bedazzled by what we see with our eyes. Well, they can't be that bad because they have a good job. They can't be that bad because they're in the house of worship every weekend or several times during the week. They can't be that bad. They seem to be a nice person. But see, here's the thing. The bottom line is, and I say this all the time, and you probably get tired of me saying this, nobody got a loan at the bank after visiting the loan officer with a nice smile and because they appeared to be a nice person. No loan officer said, oh, you have such a wonderful smile and you gave me such a wonderful brief conversation. Forget about the credit check. Let me just give you this $500,000, $500,000 loan. Doesn't work that way. Well, don't you think that your life is more important or just as important? Don't you think that you're not going to operate like that loan officer, that we need to do a credit check? Stop being intimidated by the facade and not wanting to scare the facade away by refusing to do a credit check. And what do I mean by a credit check? You got to be brutally honest when you meet somebody. You got to be brutally honest when you tell the things that maybe you don't really want to tell, but you got to tell it. The best way is to tell it because it's not going to come up down the line. When somebody else has to find something out the hard way, they're going to say to themselves, why didn't you tell me this before? I can tell you countless situations of people who have called me from the show that listen to it, that have shared things that they've been through. I can tell you countless situations of when in life I observed things going on around me that people didn't know. We all know the situation of the man who was wooing over this beautiful woman, serenading her, taking her out, but something feels funny about the situation. Comes to find out that he's married with a whole slew of kids. Well, why not say that in the beginning? I mean, to each his own, but that young lady might be still down to see you. But be honest. Don't lie. Don't lie. What about that man who has a good job and he gets married to a young lady who may not make as much as he does, and he seems to be pretty secure, but when they finally go to buy that house, she finds out his credit is ruined, that he doesn't pay his bills, and the nice car that he has, he's struggling to hold on to that. But he's on this good job, but he has a gambling problem. He has a drug problem. I'm not trying to make the world seem so gory, but there's so many times we get involved with people, even on a friendship level, that the things that they hide can be dangerous to our well-being. The things that they hide can be dangerous to our mental health. And that's no good because people can be very inconsiderate when they see that you have an energy about you that is so positive, so edifying, so progressive that they're going to lie to get past the credit check to get the loan of your energy. And don't think because you have an abundance of this energy that you're not going to feel the energy drain. So you got to protect your energy. You got to protect your life force. You got to protect all that you are from within. And you can't let anything go by because they have enough sense to conceal things. Well, you have the right to ask. These days, things are so dangerous. Things are so volatile. Many of our young ladies give their bodies away just after a few short, sweet words, not knowing that that man might be laying up with other men and full of AIDS, HIV, STDs. And that's not even the half of it. What about the other type of STDs that we have out here? Well, we have a whole lot. What are you talking about, Scurv? Sexually transmitted demons. Imagine this man, and it could be a woman to a man. So let me just get this straight. I'm not demonizing the men. I'm not demonizing the women, but I'm speaking to women and I'm speaking to men. But as a man, I speak it in a way where I'm talking about the opposite sex, but I'm also talking about the males also. So these are interchangeable. So don't later on come into the comment section. Oh, man, you ragging the men out, man. You a simp. So what am I going to do? Say each quote twice to satisfy it? Just change it from he to she? Use your brain. But imagine that man who has the sexually transmitted demons, or the woman. I'm only going to do this a couple times now. You got to have some sense. And imagine it like little roaches crawling all over him. What if you saw somebody, even if you knew them and trusted them on one level, and they saw you in the street and didn't see you for a long time, but they got cockroaches crawling all over them? Let's say about 100. And they don't even know it. It's all over their face, all down their neck, on their chest, and the backside, the butt, the legs, everywhere on their arms. And what do they say? Oh, I haven't seen you in such a long time. Come over here and give me a hug. You're not going to hug somebody with roaches all over them, because when you hug them, guess what? The roaches are going to jump off on you. Sexually transmitted demons. So when you give your body up so fast to somebody who you really don't know what's inside of them, you're inviting their demons over to you, and the demons love a nice new playground. You ever bring a dog to the park? A safe dog, not any dog that's going to bite somebody. You bring them to a big park on a Saturday or Sunday morning, even during the week, and you take the leash off and they run so far because they're happy to get there, because it's a new space. They're not cooped up in the little yard that you're in, or the little apartment or studio apartment that you're in. They relish this. They can go top speed. Well, these demons salivate. They want to jump on you. These cockroaches want to jump all over you. All because you didn't check out what you're getting yourself involved in. Because like my friend Gerald Ahukuma from Nigeria used to tell me, when we used to work at Home Depot years ago, we had a joke. And we weren't putting down beautiful women, but we would see a shapely, well-developed, pretty intelligent woman walk through the aisles and ask us for help with a big smile on her face. And sometimes after she'd leave, Gerald would look at me and say, it's so easy getting in, but it's even harder getting out. So what do we mean by that? We weren't speaking of anything sexual. We were just speaking of the fact that this young lady was so open to talk, and there was a little more with her aura. That, as they say in the street in America, he could have bagged her. He could have got to talk to her and got a phone number, but he refused because he had had some bad situations in life. Not to demonize all women, but he let that pass because he saw how easy it was to get in. And he knows if the situation is not right, it's hard to come on up out of it. And what do I mean by that? You get involved with someone, they always put their best foot forward. It's a natural thing. They want to make a good impression, to appear attractive and desirable. But this tendency can sometimes lead to concealing our true selves, hiding our shortcomings, and presenting a facade that isn't entirely honest. While it seems harmless, it's deeply inconsiderate and unfair to the new person in our lives. So whether if you do it or the next person does it, it's not right. It's not right. And in the beginning, we always indulge and engage in certain behaviors to create a more favorable image of ourselves, right? Well, what is that? Well, a lot of times we embellish our achievements, exaggerating their accomplishments or status. They might want to amp up their financial status, pretending to have more financial stability. They never talk about instability, Freudian slip, or wealth than they actually do. They hide their emotional baggage. They conceal past traumas or emotional issues. They don't say ouch when you touch the wound. They hide that. But then when you get with them, they let it all pour out. And of course, when you love someone or you're committed to them, you want to help them. You want them to get help professionally, and you're going to make sure to deal with those issues, because anytime we take on somebody in our life, it's just like this when they say about credit on a financial level. It's the same thing on an emotional level. When you marry somebody, if they got bad credit, they have debts, those debts become yours. So you got to be careful when people have trauma that they refuse to deal with, because it's not right to expect you to clean up what they refuse to clean up. It could be traumatic, and yes, sometimes you don't want to deal with it, but at least be honest with that person and stop with the hidden facade. Be honest. Or they alter their personality traits. They may act more extroverted or more introverted than they naturally are to appeal to you. You see what I mean? They come around your friends and you act bubbly. You do everything so that those friends can say, hey, man, you got a good woman there. She's a keeper. But she might be grumpy and quiet with her attitude all the time. But she's changing up for you. See? You just don't know. Or sometimes they'll pretend they have the same interests that you do. They'll fake interest in hobbies or activities to appear more compatible. You might be into scuba diving, and they say, oh my God, I went scuba diving with some friends a couple of times, and I love the fact that you're into scuba diving. Now you want to go do some scuba diving. She's like, I ain't going with you. I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that. What made you think I want to do that? But now she's living with you, or he's living with you. Again, this is not just about women or men. It's both. It's both. Some of them will have selective honesty. They'll leave out little truths or facts about their life. Go to a job. You go to a job. You know, your mate wants to get this state job or this county job in law enforcement. And they do a background check. But you didn't know that they were arrested 12 times for prostitution in 5 different states. Right? There was somebody that I got with that I found stuff out like that about. Like, what you got? So this wasn't no fluke or some mistake. It wasn't like you were with your boyfriend in the backseat of the car in a red light district and they mistaken this thing. No, you in this state and that state and this one. What? Yeah, it's real out here. And it's really hard to lie now. We're in the computer age now, right? It's hard to lie. Everything's documented. And you can't even leave to another country and get away from certain things. I recently read that, like say, for example, just randomly speaking, I read a lot of stuff and a lot of information comes my way. A lot of people come to Ghana to run away from stuff. They run away from crimes, to run away from paying child support, to run away from just whatever debt so they can get off and they think they're in the grid. But certain countries, they have their digital cyber handshake with their information. And this is the way it's going to be globally. So you might get away for a couple years hiding, but your fingerprint and your DNA don't lie. Fingerprints have to come with everything, and it will reveal who you really are. I recently found out that Canada and Ghana are building this bridge where everything that's over there, over here, they'll know. So you won't be able to move. What you got to do is maybe just go out way out in the bushes somewhere and not have internet, not have a car, not have anything. Don't get sick and go to the hospital. Don't commit a crime and let cops come after you, because they're going to pull you in and extradite you. And this is the way it is. But we don't do that within our personal lives. I'm not saying to be so fierce, but take your time. I don't mean when you first meet somebody, you scroll out this long 6-foot piece of paper with fine print with check boxes. Okay, you gave me the number. We're going to talk tonight, but before we talk, fill all of this out. No, take your time. Time. Like the song says, time is on my side. Yes, it is. But keep it on your side. Don't let passion, don't let your horniness, Don't let your need to have a person next to you at night, or just to say you have a mate or a date or somebody who is interested in you, to make you drop your standards. And if you don't have standards, you better get some, because you're going to have all kind of demons crawling all over you, right? Oftentimes they'll feign their optimism, overly positive demeanor, masking underlying insecurities or unhappiness. There are a lot of unhappy people out here. It's really tough, yo. This life, this world, I'm not going to say that we got to walk around like we're Prozac up. There's a lot of reasons to be sad. There's a lot of things that happen in our lives that knock us down. You know, I've been through that, right? And to me, there was a point in my life where when anything started going smooth, I was like, what's coming down the road? Because there was always something that came that tried to rob my joy or rob my sanity. And I made it this far. And I've been through some rough emotional times. I've never been homeless and on the street. There was one time I was almost that way. But the nick of time, the Creator pulled me out. But emotional stuff and losing loved ones and just disappointments and betrayals and stuff. Oh, I think I know more about that than most people. I think I specialize in that more. And I don't specialize like I want that. What I mean is that I've been through it enough that I can speak to it and speak about it and kind of guide people through how I got through it, right? But they have also the social mask. And they present a different persona around their social circle compared to the one-on-one interactions. You meet somebody who's fabulous in public and you want to meet them. You get an introduction. They might be a public speaker. There might be somebody who is part of an organization and you're there and you're really impressed by what they put out there as far as them being themselves. I know people like that. But when you get to the real one-on-one, and sometimes the one-on-one doesn't reveal much, but that one-on-one, when you get a little closer in your life and you realize that this person is really not that public persona that they pretend to be. You see what I mean? Or the relationship history. Oh, yes, I went to bed with one person because it was a committed relationship, and he told me that he loved me and I should have waited until marriage. But you didn't find out that she was with the whole football team. You didn't find out that she was with 5 or 6 different pastors of the same church, that every time they switched the pastor, she was in bed with him. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but there's certain situations out here that, trust me, it is what it is. So you just don't know, right? Relationship history. She had about 14 abortions. Okay. And I know somebody that many years ago in the late 80s, it was a co-worker of an old girlfriend. And she said that she had so many abortions until her vagina turned black. And the people who, do the abortions, like, nah, we cannot do anymore. There was something else going on because of all those abortions. And you would never think. She's the sweetest, laid back, conservative, whatever. But behind closed doors, she was a raging beast. A raging beast. And there's so much more to that story. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but we have the men who are like that too. And people will tell their story the way they want to tell it to make them look good. That's the bad thing. Then you got to have concerns of their health and lifestyle. They misrepresent their health habits, their fitness level, or lifestyle choices. I'm a vegan. But you see them down at Joey's Steakhouse 3 times a week. Their fitness level. I mean, you don't have to be involved in a triathlon, right? Doesn't mean you have to be a world-class athlete or somebody who goes to the gym all the time. It may be you watch what you eat, you take a little walk, whatever. As we get older, sometimes we get a little more tired, little things we let go. I know I was a physical specimen, about 40-something years ago. I'm not that anymore, but I'm still good from my foundation. But I need to tighten up. I've been eating a few things I shouldn't eat because I rationalize and say, well, I've been working hard and I changed the country and I've been through stuff and I got over the stuff. I deserve to have that cookie. I deserve to have that extra slice of cake. I mean, it's only natural. When it comes down to other things now, where you find out about a person, because of their choices, that's normal. You want a piece of cake or you want some cookies or you have an occasional drink socially, which is no good in alcohol at all, right? When you find out, like, they smoke weed, You may be against that, right? Because you may not want to be with somebody who robs their brain of oxygen. And then they tell you, yeah, well, I do that once a month. But they didn't tell you that they do it 3 times a week and it's laced with crack. So they're smoking crack. Come on now. So you just don't know, and they will minimize it as harmless white lies, which I don't even want to say harmless white lies. Like that's like, well, black lies worse? Well, that's a term we always use, but there's an impact that comes with this deception because you build on a false foundation. See, because trust and honesty is crucial for a healthy relationship. And if you start off lying about stuff, how does that make the other person feel? Because the truth is going to come out. It always does. And then when it comes out all the way, that other person is going to feel betrayed to the max, right? So you got to recognize the red flags. You got to protect yourself. You need to be aware. And after, you do that credit check, that emotional credit check, that physical credit check, that spiritual credit check, then you can relax a little more. And you still have to keep a little part of you always not paranoid where it dominates your relationship, but understand that things can go left. People are human beings. People can change. They can evolve for the worst, or even a minor bit, which will be disappointing. Because you do the little things, you take care of the little things. Trust me, the big things don't go through. And that was where, and I'm not defending former Mayor Rudy Giuliani in New York City because he went overboard with the police department, but he said, if you take care of the little crimes, the big ones will be pushed away more so. Yeah, but it didn't really work out. Maybe that was a bad example. But I will tell you this, in relationships, in friendships, there has to be a mutual respect. There has to be where you know where not to cross and offer what's inside of you as far as being transparent. There's something that's going left with you. Come to your mate, come to your friend, let them know, because of course you're hiding it most of the time. Why should we hide things? If a person's really in our corner, if we're honest with them, you know what I mean? Like say, for example, there might be a man who works in the corporate situation, right? He's been faithful to his woman. He notices beautiful women, but he doesn't make it an issue. He sees that girl in a tight, shapely dress. He'll look at her and keep it moving. But then maybe there's a new woman in his department who, because they have to work close together, he finds some type of attraction to her that's making him think things that he shouldn't be thinking. And it's like, okay, I need to change departments. And he will tell his spouse this, listen, I'm not going to lie. This is not anything that you're not doing. But there's this woman that comes around and I'm getting these funny feelings. And most men are not going to say that. Most men are like, I ain't saying nothing. I'm going to try to get with her. And sometimes you handle it if you know you're really, really, really handling it and it's not going to be an issue. And your mate is very fragile in their trust. Not that you gave a reason, because maybe before in their prior relationship, their trust was busted. It was stepped on so much. I'm not saying to keep it quiet. Handle it though. But it's best to be transparent. Or even if you make a mention of it on a lighter level, let your mate see that you're willing to talk. Because if you act too perfect, she's going to think, or he's going to think something. And when they find out, even that you didn't say the whole thing, they might feel betrayed. That's just what you got to do. You know what I mean? And be consistent when you speak. Because if you're inconsistent, they catch you in little, it's like, this person's not so sincere. Well, another red flag is if they avoid deep conversation. Because of reluctance to discuss personal topics or past experiences, it's like, what are you hiding? After a while, you want to know the person. Now, you're not going to expect to get the whole life story the first minute that you meet them. You know what I mean? Like, let me tell you about all of my lovers and, the times I was locked up. You want to know all of this stuff. I mean, you may not want to know all the gory details of some of their lovers or whatever have you, right? But if they avoid it, it's like, why are you hiding it? Also, the whole too perfect to be true thing going on. And we say these things sometimes. Oh, girl, you're so perfect for me. Now, you know good and darn well that she may not be perfect. She may appear to be that way, and it's not her own fault, because us as human beings, male and female, lots of times we put on the template, overlay them with this template of perfection because of how they make us feel at the moment. You don't see their flaws, and you best believe that we all have our flaws. None of us are perfect. So don't get caught up in projecting onto them that they're the savior, they're the God of your life. And it shouldn't even be that way. I shouldn't even say it that way, because there should be no person that's the God of your life. But there are people out here with low self-esteem. There are people out here who they need to lean on somebody else in their mind. And therefore, that's just what it is. Let me refresh this page here. My computer's working a little slow. And this is the one that was hacked into. So bear with me. I want to see something here on the screen as I move on. This is not going to be a show that's going to be something that's lasting for 2 or 3 hours. You know, we did a 5-hour live last night, you know, and we got down in it. And folks didn't believe it because they thought, oh, that's just another old premiere, just like this one is live. And that's why there are not many people here. So I'm going to make sure that the only thing that you see live, it won't be premieres, they will be live, at least one a day. But I'm going to upload a crap load of old videos to the channel that were on the other channel. So we keep the body of it, because I have to do that, because now with the algorithms, and I have to be seen by YouTube. I'm starting all over again, you know? So starting over is not an easy thing. Not an easy thing at all. Yeah, now here it is. If a person, they don't have like friends or old friends, they don't have to be up in their face all the time, but somebody who can, or they can kind of show you their trajectory through life, through their friends, right? Now, I'm not knocking anybody who falls into anything, but if you get with somebody and you discover their friends, and all of their friends are unemployed, living with somebody, not doing anything, substance abusers, never did anything in life, they always talk about when they were locked up, that's not a good look. Or they have friends, and you meet this man, and I'm not knocking anybody's choice of their lifestyle. You do what you want to do behind closed doors. But you meet this guy, and you're in love with, I'm framing it this way. It could be a man meeting a woman, right? But it's a woman meeting a man. And all the dudes that he hangs out with from different parts of his life, like, oh, this is my friend from the job I was on 10 years ago. Oh, this is a friend who used to live next door to me when I had that apartment 5 years ago. Oh, here's a person who goes to my house of worship. And they're men, and they're all gay men. Red flag. I have people that I can think the highest of as far as their integrity and their character, and they may be doing some different things behind closed doors, but that's not the onus of our connection. All right? Because I know people who are straight, who are rotten. What you do is what you do behind closed doors, and I shouldn't even know. But if you meet a dude who loves to hang out with the fellas, and all the fellas are into fellas, and show me your friends, and I'll show you who they are, right? That's so true in that one, right? Now, if you ask now, and you have an idea like, let me ask them this specific question. They told me I can ask them anything. They told me that they were an open book. And you ask them something specific. Not the first day, but after a while, you get to know them and you're closer. You already feel comfortable on so many different levels, but now you want to really zero in before you make the next step emotionally, right? And what do? They give you evasive answers, dodging questions, or providing vague responses. Some old dreamy, vague, cloudy, surreal, smoke and mirrors. You never get a definitive answer. And red flag. Red flag. Here's another one for you. Sudden mood changes. Unpredictable emotional shifts that don't match the situation. Unpredictable emotional shifts. Why? Look, bipolar, they say that's real, but I believe that most, and this is, I'm not a doctor, but I do believe that most who are deemed to be bipolar, they got too many soul ties. They're connected to too many people. Come on now. You know when you're really, really with somebody. I mean, when you're really committed and connected and soul tied up. The soul ties. Soul ties are a good thing. It's a good thing with the right person. When you're so tied in, so locked in, so beautifully connected, because that's what you want. It's a sweet thing. But remember, you don't have to just have sex with somebody to have a soul tie. You can have soul ties through emotional connections, through just being kindred spirits or seeing yourself. You know, it's not just a sex thing. But when people do have sex with multiple partners, maybe a little more than they should, it's more casual for them. You swapping spit, crotch sauce, sweat. Come on now. You hugged up in the bed and farting on each other, breathing it in. You tying yourself in. And when you have all of these different partners, you're still connected with them even when you're not with them. This is what we don't seem to understand. I ain't with him no more. Yeah, but yes, you are with him. What is it that they said? Now, I'm quite sure many of you heard this, that when you kiss a person one time, and I don't mean just a little peck on the mouth, I mean like a little tongue action, right? If you're in junior high school and you steal one of those kind of kisses with somebody, they have a way that they can connect you to decades from now, that never leaves you. And I don't think that's a full-blown soul tie. But if they can connect that physically in your body, imagine all-out sex that comes with the emotions. You're tied into that person. And I said last night, that woman who has children with this man, right? She's connected to him. She is his, and he is hers. But they go off with other people, but it doesn't diminish that connection because mentally they say, well, I'm not with them no more. Yes, you are. And you can't erase it. It's like writing something with a pen. It's very hard to erase that pen when the paper is porous and absorbs that ink. That mark is on them. Just like dogs that walk around pissing on trees. And they piss on that tree, piss on this tree. They're leaving their mark. That's the way it's supposed to be. Soul ties are righteous, but we abuse it because we don't realize that we're making soul ties with whoever we lay in the bed with. It's like being on a budget. You have a certain amount of money. You don't want to just go out there and spend it all up and then come home broke and can't buy food, can't pay your rent, your mortgage. We have to do things sparingly. When you get to that point, and me of all people, because, you know, when I was younger, I was all over the place, but I just couldn't say no. But I'm talking from experience. If I can go back and do it all over again, it'll be quite different. I would have more life force at 61. I would have more drive. I've had to walk around with an emotional machete to chop the soul ties that came from one night stands or 1 week stands or 1 year stands or 10-year situations where it's on and off and you got other people. All that stuff, I know about it. I'm not even going to lie in front about it. That's why I know this bad boy is so good. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So when you see these mood swings, don't even say these, oh, they probably bipolar. No. You got some soul ties that you need to meditate on and cut and be to yourself and heal up from. Because that person that you went to bed with 7 years ago, it only lasted 3 weeks, but it was 7 years ago and you completely forgot about them. But they got an anger management problem. They got an anger management issue. Well, guess what? You wonder why little things sometimes make you extra angry. And it's not your characteristic. It's not your character to be that way. And then sometimes you feel cloudy and you feel down. We all do. We're not always hyped and ready to go and attack life and become this go-getter and this winner achieving things. Sometimes we say, I don't know if I can do it. Oh, I don't feel like doing it today. Now that's natural. But if it's too much, it might be a soul tie that you didn't disconnect from yourself. So be careful because like they say, when you go to bed with somebody, you actually connected with all the people they went to bed with. That's crazy. So they're bringing you soul ties that you think is just one person, and they got all these connected things to them, just like the person with the roaches that wants to hug you. Roaches going to get on you, and they're going to come home with you, and they're going to stay with you. And sometimes people overcompensate. They make this excessive effort to impress you and please you because they know they're not really up for it, but they want to hook you because they really want you in their life because of their own secret agenda or hidden motivation. How about that? Like I said before in the other one, where they try to act like they're interested in some of the same things that you're interested in. They may have a little interest, so they say, I'm not really into that, but I'll get into it to learn enough just to, because I don't want you just into your thing. I want to know a little bit about it, but I'm not really interested in that. You see what I mean? And that's okay. Don't look for this relationship where you think everything's going to be so super perfect. And all of a sudden, this is going to go this exact certain way. It's not going to be perfect. In a relationship, you have two people. And I think it's wrong when they say, and I know what they mean romantically in the songs, two people becoming one. I understand it. But if you look at it, it's wrong to think that way. You got you, 100% of a person, and another person who's supposed to be 100% of a person. Now, maybe the both of you might be broken a little bit. Maybe you might be 75% and they might be 60%. Or you might be 60% of a person because of what you've been through, and they're 40% of a person. Yeah, now you'll be one. But it's still two people pulling off the weight of one. So if you're 100% and the other person is 100%, you're losing when you become one. Let's just say you're connected. Don't say you become one. Because now if you're one person, 100% of different proportions between you are thrown away. When two people get together and it's right, it's supposed to be synergistic. Synergistic means greater than the sum that's there. It's two people, but when you're firing on all pistons properly, and the next person is firing on all pistons properly, well, guess what? It's like you're 25 people. Have you ever seen that couple that been together? It doesn't always mean you have to be together for a long time, but they've been with each other. They're settled. They're connected. They move as one unit, but it's still two people who are moving synergistically like 25, and they get so much done. And let me add as a footnote. You will have people in your midst who know that you have this formula naturally with this person who you're connected to, that you move in a synergistic manner, and they don't want to see the magic that comes about from the union that you have. So you have that guy who's a friend of the dude in the relationship. Hey, man, you're getting kind of wrapped up in this person. I don't want to see you hurt. You ever think about dating some other women? You're like, no, I'm good. I mean, you may not be married. Or they'll try to get you in a mindset where you're tempted to do stuff. You hang out with this person, and after a while, it's like, come on, man, let's go. I'm taking you out. They take you to dinner, but you end up in the titty bar. Why are you taking me to the titty bar? Why you want me to lust after these other women? You want me to just break up and mess me up? And the same thing with the women. Sometimes you'll have girlfriends who you do not detect the jealousy, and they're going to want to have you come around, and there's some guy that they know who's dropped dead gorgeous and a really smart person. You're not interested in them types, but they kind of go out with you and kind of push you next to each other. And you're like, I didn't know no man was going to come around, and he's acting interested. He might be an agent by them to try to get to you to break up what you have. So remember, not only do you have to protect yourself when you're dealing with somebody new, you better protect yourself from the people who might be covert frenemies, who can see where you're going in this life, just like most demons can. And they want to get next to you and keep you in your old habits or bring you into some new habits that's not going to keep you afloat, not just afloat, but rising high. Because every single day of our life, we should be ascending to something higher. But a lot of us don't do it. You see what I mean? And many people are guarded about their past, hesitation to share past relationships or life events. Now, we know sometimes there are traumatic things that happen and we don't find out about it because they just, within themselves, they haven't gotten over it. It doesn't mean everybody's going to be transparent about everything. How many times have we, especially as men, dated somebody, courted them, got engaged or any step along the way, and even got married sometime and didn't find out that maybe an uncle had his way with your wife when she was a young girl? I can't get mad at that. I can't get mad at that. You know what I mean? Because if you get that far into the relationship with the person, you want to help them out. And you wish you would have known so you can speak a little more sensitive and stuff like that. But we still need to be transparent with certain things. And that I'll excuse because that's kind of hard. Because there are a lot of women out here and men get molested too. You know, I was single digits and an older grown woman cousin was making me do things to her. Huh? And this affects you in your life. Either it can make you extra promiscuous or it makes you shut down. And you don't know why. You don't know why you can't really perform with your mate. Or you're over. You have a huge libido, which is artificially driven by what was done to you and imprinted in you from when you were younger. I don't have any degrees in anything. I'm just talking life. You see what I mean? That's what it was. Now, if they also can't be clear on their future plans, but they want to act like they're committed to you, right? They're vague on long-term goals. You should have your long and short-term goals before you even met this person. You and the other person, your direction. And you can be together and be into different careers. You can still support each other, right? Doesn't mean you have to be into the same exact thing because sometimes that won't work out. There's overkill with the stuff that you're into. But there's overlap and there's parts of you that don't overlap. Hopefully the parts that don't overlap is just a little bit. Maybe 25% at the most. But if it's like 90%, then what are you together for? Because you're not really interested in some of the same overlapping things. I mean, how you run your home. Talk about those things. If we're together and we happen to live together or we're married, how do you feel the home should be? Is home a home or is home just a house? You see what I mean? How do you feel on a spiritual level? Do you believe in a higher power? Whittle it down. How do you feel when we're in a committed relationship and I'm always going to be attracted to you, but I may seem to kind of want to be a little sexual with you and you don't mind because I'm totally committed. You know this, so you know you're the person for that. Do you starve me off? Do you push me off? Do you make me feel bad for what I feel? But I'm committed, right? So we have to, talk about these things. Are you a good cook? Am I a good cook? Am I clean? Do I clean up after myself? Am I one to want to wash my clothes after I take them off? Even though you want to do it all the time. Maybe, each person should be so independent that they can take care of themselves on all levels, right? And then when they get together, if it's the forte of the next person where this person can cook good food better than me faster, or I'm good at writing papers and getting on a computer and researching. So guess what? You're going to handle the cooking. Not that I can't, but you're the best at it. But guess what? I'm going to handle all computer work, all clerical work, all research, all filling out of forms because I can do that faster. But we still are supposed to partake in the chores of the home. And we need to talk about that. And if we can't talk about that, then there's going to be problems down the road. Oh, man, he just leave his dirty underwear around, all the streaks, the brown streaks in it. I'm sick and tired of cleaning up after him. Well, you should have had that conversation at first to let him know that he needs to do those things also. Now, if the other person is sick, of course, you're going to do everything or most of everything. That's commitment. But most of us don't talk about stuff like that, right? Now, here's one that's a real big flag. Red flag, especially in the dating phase or the I'm getting to know you phase or the non-committal, I just want to hang out and test your energy phase. Inconsistent availability. Frequently unavailable without good reason, indicating potential secrets. Frequently unavailable. Why? We made a date, we made a time. Out of the past 10 dates that we made, you only showed up to 2. And you still didn't really give me an explanation as to why. We know emergencies happen, right? We know things can happen. But that tells you there's a double life going on there. Or there's some government agent, right? And we know it's not that most of the time. Because this is what it is. In this modern day of cyberspace and the internet and instant communication, remember, way back in the day, I don't know how old you are, but I know I'm 61 years old, so I can go back a little further than most people. Way back in the day, if you had something to tell somebody, you had to hold that thought until you saw them or until you can break free to make the phone call. I mean, we had the wired telephones, but even still, that was a distant time away, because if they were at a job that you couldn't really reach like that, where there's a phone next to them, you had to hold that thought. If you were pissed off about something, you just had to be pissed off for the whole day until you can confront them about certain things. But right now, with instant communication, with being able to speak to somebody, speak to 5 people, speak to 20 people, and the fact that many women and men expect less in these artificially engineered pseudo relationships that by no means you can compare to the good old days when the commitment meant the commitment. When you dated somebody, which was non-committal, or you were courting them, which was, yes, it was a kind of a commitment because now you're exclusive, but you're not engaged yet. The whole town would see you. If you're walking down the street with this other woman and you're in her face in a certain way, I mean, it could be innocent and you're walking down the street. The family's going to find out about it. It's not like that anymore. Smartphones? Woo! I wish there was a survey to show how smartphones increased the number of illicit relationships that resulted in pregnancy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can get somebody's number, just rap with them and not tell them anything about your life and give them what they want to hear. I'm just being honest. This is what I see. You know, I used to drive the bus in Orlando, Florida. And the things that I heard, you know, when you're sitting right behind the bus driver, you better make sure you can kind of conceal that voice a little bit. Now, I wasn't nosy, but I couldn't help but hear the drama that was shoved down my ear. And people in the facades, in the secret lives, the hidden facade. Let me tell you something. I saw a guy sit toward the front of the bus, him and his girlfriend. And they were lovey-dovey a little bit. They weren't overdoing it. It was just their business. I mean, they weren't having sex. They were hugged up. He kept kissing her. And I love you. I can't wait to see you later on. You know, whatever you want. If you want to, you know, you don't have to cook tonight. They weren't living together, but they had like that we have each other's keys to each other's apartment type relationship. I mean, they jumped the gun and did that. You can tell. And I kind of knew of them from before and heard them and saw pretty much where those things were going. But as soon as she got off, and he continued the sweet nothings until she got off the bus, even turning around and blowing a kiss as I drove off on the bus, he whipped out his phone and his voice changed. Well, how did his voice change? He had a good amount of bass in his voice when he was talking to the young lady that was dating or in that committed relationship too. But as soon as he dialed that number, oh, come on, hurry up, pick up the phone. I'm like, who's that? Phil, how are you doing, baby? Yes, I can't wait to be with you tonight. Yes, I told her I was going to be over later on, but I'm going to give her an excuse. I just can't wait to wrap my lips around. I'm not supposed to hear that, and I ain't going to repeat that because it doesn't sound right with me saying it. Yes, down low, straight up, and more into the dude than he was into the woman, but he can maintain this kind of relationship because he has a smartphone. And we can act like we're so busy when we are not, or not legitimately, progressively busy to ascend in our desired career, but busy sucking down somebody else's crotch sauce. It's so easy to keep the facade going. Social media profiles made by the person. How are you going to trust a social media profile for the most part, and you see it and you suck up all the information on that bad boy just because they wrote it for you to listen or to watch, and you base your whole thing off of what you see? Do you think everybody is completely honest when they put their information out there like that? You know how many single women who claim to be single, they are single and they may not be married, but they still got their little baby daddy that comes around and, digs the guts out every now and then, like 3-4 times a week, sleeping there 3-4 times a week. And she invites you over, and he's not supposed to come over that night. And he comes over knocking the door, but he saw you sitting on the couch by the window, by the steps, and knows that there's a Negro inside there. And why don't you let me in? You didn't tell me you were seeing somebody. You didn't say that 2 nights ago when I was having sex with you. You didn't say that 2 nights ago when you had my thing in your mouth. Who is this dude? And why can't you answer the door? I'm going to sit out here and wait. Now you got drama. Lack of transparency. Why don't you just be honest and say it? Now, I'm not saying women are liars like that. Some of them are. And dudes are too. Like I said at the beginning of this program, it's interchangeable. It's not about bashing any particular sex. But the hidden facade. Who and what are you really? That person that they're telling you all about themselves? Are they leaving certain facts out to make them look good? They didn't tell you they were locked away for 22 years. You know what I mean? For molesting a string of underage kids. It's like that. People can be grimy. That's not to take away from the people who have integrity, who are good people, who wouldn't dare lead somebody down the wrong road about them. They are out there. But because of the bad ones, you got to make sure that everything is all right. You got a security guard in a drugstore or a small supermarket. Well, he's not there because of you, the good person who's going to pay for everything and not put it in the pockets, but that camera watches everybody. So you can't take it personal, because the bottom line, they are there because of the bad people and the bad elements that are there. And that's why I spoke on these things, because it doesn't mean that everybody that you meet is this person who's living a double or triple life or has all these weird soul ties and all that stuff. Nah, they may have little things that they're ashamed to talk about. We'll find out if they're straight out lying or they didn't tell you because they're ashamed. So those of us who see somebody that we're interested in that really seems to be genuine, number one, take your time. Like the song by the SOS band years ago, 1981. Take your time, baby, we can do it. Take your time, do it right. We can do it, baby. Do it tonight. I don't know what they're talking about doing. All right. Maybe they're going to sit down and watch a little TV show and that's it. You're an adult, so you know what time it is, right? But that's the bottom line. I think I covered most points. I think I did. I'm not going to make this one too long. I want to wrap this one down. But since we don't have too many people on because they think it's a premiere and not really live, they're probably listening to it and saying, this is live. This is live. This is not Memorex. Is it live or is it Memorex? Remember that commercial back in the day? That's what it's all about. Anyway, I want to talk about some more things as an offshoot. And as you're going to know, I'm really into human nature. Speaking about human nature, why people are the way they are. Yes, I'm always going to defend my people. I'm always going to speak on, collectively how we can advance ourselves as a people. But there's so many frauds in that. I've been through so many people who talk so good, but they're not really about that. They just want to use you so they can grab the podium and speak what is truth, just so they can satisfy their narcissistic needs. I don't do that anymore. Life is too short. I want to really enjoy and be sincere about what I put out here in cyberspace. And I'm going to talk about those things also. But you got to be really about it, because that's how I live my life, even though I'm imperfect and I have my flaws. Let's have a private conversation. I'll tell you all my imperfections and my flaws. But you know what? I think the good that I have far outweighs those things. And the flaws and imperfections I have are minor. They're minor. Because we're all individuals. Again, like I said, we need to really really, really and truly work on ourselves. Don't just polish up the body of the vehicle like the old jackleg used car salesman would do. Hey, polish up the body, make the rims pretty. Turn on the radio when you get in the car for the test drive so you don't hear the squeaking. And he makes you call 10 minutes or 15 minutes before you show up. But why does he ask that? So he can start that car up that sounds like chitty chitty bang bang. When it's running for about, or idling for about 10 minutes, it goes smooth. So he sees you coming down the block. So he turns it off real quick. And when you go in for the test drive, you say, man, the body looks good. The engine sounds good. And he says, yes, we have a wonderful sound system, and turns it up. The sound system is not going to get you from point A to point B. Don't be bedazzled by the outward adornments of people that they often lie about. Don't get caught up in the car that this man says he drives. It could be his uncle's car. Don't get caught up in the mansion that he claims to live in. He took the family pictures down. That may be his cousin's house, and they're on vacation for a month. People lie because they only see a temporary situation. They're not really in it for the long term. Deal with people who are in it for the long term, and it's a less chance that they'll have a hidden facade to hide behind. If they do long-term things, if they're on their job for a while, that doesn't mean you have to be on a job for a long time, because some people say that's foolishness in this day. You should be going after your own stuff. What I'm saying is if they have that long-term, committed, stable, right? That's a good thing. And chances are, if you see a person who's not jumping around, yeah, man, you know, I had 10 jobs in the last couple months, and it's them. They don't like me. Should I show them it because I work so hard? Nah, all 10 jobs couldn't be wrong for firing you. What benefit should you have accountability for? It's all about accountability. In every situation, we have some accountability on a major level or a minor level. It's like a well-trained fighter who has the best mindset, right? He might knock the guy out in the first round and do everything perfect. At the end of the fight, during the interview, he says, well, how would you rate your performance, Mike Tyson? Well, basically, I knocked him out in the first round, but, I think I could have done better. See, that's how you have to think. What did I do wrong? What can I do better? What can I improve on? If you have that kind of mindset as a human being with the proper amount of integrity, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it down. And I might be back later, but I'll definitely be back tomorrow. And I will populate the channel with about maybe 20 or 30 videos tonight. Old stuff, but I'm not going to premiere them. I'm not going to confuse you, right? We're going to keep it that way. But thank you so much for giving me this last 1 hour and 3 minutes, or maybe soon 1 hour and 4 minutes of your time. I hope I made sense. You all have sense. I didn't say anything you don't know. Maybe it's somebody younger who didn't know certain things. Maybe it's a refresher course. I don't claim to know everything, but as I meditate and try to cleanse myself and make myself better, I just pass the thought on along so we can all grow and stay in our lane and not cross over the double yellow line and end up in a head-on collision that we could have avoided. Anyway, much love to you all. Remember, we have the membership channel now with videos that you won't see on the open channel. And go to LANCESCURV.com. That's where we have everything. And I have to upgrade that a lot with some different things. We're going to be very active every single day. And I hope you enjoy the content that I put out. So like, share, and subscribe. And it doesn't hurt to do that, and support the channel in that way. I love what I do. It's from the heart. And it's definitely a labor of love. Much love to you all. LANCESCURV out. On to the next one. Peace.
Hello, this is Martha. Actually, today I got to meet my friend Lance. Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, it's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just him, anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to LANCESCURV. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you. So
make sure to go to LANCESCURV.com, an online magazine established in 2001, containing written articles, thousands of talk shows and discussions, cutting-edge cartoons, as well as erotic expressions and tasteful adult photography. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Once you get a taste of the world of LANCESCURV, trust me, you'll be back for more. LANCESCURV.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.